Hi everyone, welcome to duxsoup. While we give everyone else a few moments to join, let me introduce myself. I'm Jo Henderson, a part of the marketing team at duxsoup, and some of you may have seen me before, but for those who haven't been on our webinars previously, a warm welcome to all of you. We run our webinars every 2 weeks, and they're always focused on LinkedIn outreach and how users can get more out of their lead generation activity by using duxsoup. If you still haven't tried duxsoup yet, then I have a free link for all of you, and I'll pop it in the chat box in a moment. So please use it to register. It's completely free, and you'll have access to all of the features that we will cover on the session today. Well, and more besides. A few points to note before we get started. You, our lovely audience, are all on mute, but I know you'll have heaps of questions, so just add those into the question box as they pop into your head. I'll answer as many as I can as we go, and the ones that I can't answer, I'll put to Giles at the end of the session, so make sure you stick around to find out the answers. Our sessions are always recorded, and we email them over to all of our attendees a few hours after the session has finished. We also post it on our webinar pages on the website, so if you want to pass the details on to anyone else, you can do. We currently offer 2 pricing plans, Pro and Turbo, and our session today is focused on how to get started with Pro and how it can help you to manage your LinkedIn outreach activity. Speaking of pros, I'm going to hand swiftly over to Giles, the Head of Professional Services, and he can get the session underway. Giles, over to you.
Thanks, Jo. Hello, good morning and good afternoon to everyone wherever you may be in the world, and thank you once again for joining us in the latest of our series of free webinars. Anyone who's new to duxsoup or these webinars, my name is Giles Garnett, and I'm Head of Professional Services here at duxsoup, and yeah, you may have seen my face on several of these webinars in the past. Today, as Jo's just said, we're going to focus on the functionality and the value of duxsoup Pro. We often look at the more technical, in-depth features of the Turbo product and the integrations and all that sort of stuff, but wanted to take this opportunity to have a look at what you can get out of the Pro version. We had a couple of little changes to the interface in recent times as well, so maybe we'll be able to cover that for the first time properly on one of these webinars. So you've already heard from Jo from our marketing team. She's going to be monitoring the live the questions and answering those as we go. Do keep them on topic, but if you have other questions, you can always email our support team on info@dux-soup.com. That email address will come up partway through the webinar as well. And as usual, sessions are being recorded, made available via all of the usual channels. So let's crack on with today's webinar. This is what we're going to cover. We're going to do a very quick duxsoup Pro intro. We're going to talk very briefly about LinkedIn basics. And then we're going to talk about, getting started with Pro, the basic options. We've got a new sort of simplified menu, which I'd like to show you, demonstrate how that works. We'll talk about connecting, messaging, and scanning, which are the 3 most popular functions of duxsoup Pro. And then we're going to look at the advanced menu, the options that you have which give you the more extended options when you're reaching out to your prospects. So let's crack on. So what is duxsoup? duxsoup's a Chrome extension, which is compatible with basically any Chromium built browser. You can use it to mimic my audio connection restored. Hopefully everybody heard that okay. Yeah, it looks like I just had a small hiccup with the audio, but hopefully everybody heard that. So yeah, as we go through, and I'll mention a few links, I'll try to put those into the chat box so that everyone can see the links that I refer to. We've got lots of blogs, lots of complimentary information that we'll share with everybody as we go through. So before you get started with any lead generation activities on LinkedIn, and however you choose to do it, whichever platform, whatever environment you're doing it in, you have to consider these items. Make sure your profile, your LinkedIn profile, is up to date and relevant. I see so many people who put 0 effort in there, and it's just a missed opportunity. It's your window to the world, it's your advert. So make sure you spend some time updating that and look at your tagline, etc., etc. Make sure you're active and engaging on LinkedIn. You're posting, you're commenting, you're liking, you're doing stuff on LinkedIn. The more you do, the more credibility you get. The more credibility you get, the more higher up search results you will appear as well. Spend time building your list, carrying out your searches, and have clear goals as to what you're trying to achieve, whether you're looking to grow your network or increase engagement on your web page, website, whatever it may be. And then think about your messaging, your strategy when it comes to messaging. Your messaging should always link to how you've found people. We've got blog posts and webinars covering all of these articles, which we can refer you to if so required. But I'll show you where you can find all of that information when we get to the demo part in a minute. So this is just basic LinkedIn stuff, lead generation activities. Always make sure you're checking these boxes and carrying out these things as a matter of course. So duxsoup Pro, what can we do with it, and what does it do for you? It's our lowest priced paid version of duxsoup, and it can do the following. Basically, we can use it to auto visit, auto message, and auto invite prospects. We can scan lists. We can use tagging, labeling function to organize our potential leads, and we can even, use endorsement or follow actions. And there's a few other bits and pieces as well. There are some rules we can get duxsoup to follow regarding skipping and that kind of stuff. We can even in-mail prospects using duxsoup Pro. So in order to reflect should we say the most commonly used functions of duxsoup Pro, we've developed a new simplified menu, which, as you can see here, is much more simplified than the old menu. You can easily switch between the two different menus through the duxsoup options, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. But if you're a new user to duxsoup, this is the menu you will see. You have basically three options. You can connect, you can message, or you can scan your list. Without further ado, let's show you how exactly that looks in the real world. So up here in the right-hand corner, I've got my duxsoup icon, and we can see here when I'm on a non-LinkedIn page, my icon is red because I have got duxsoup Pro installed here. Now, if I go and carry out a search in LinkedIn, in this case, it's in regular LinkedIn. I prepared this one a while ago. What I can see now, we've got the simplified menu. So no, I haven't. I've got the advanced menu there. Let's go back to the simplified menu. I was supposed to reset that. There we go. Let's go back there. There we go. There we go. So now we'll have the simplified menu. Let's try that again. There we go. So that's our simplified menu. We can now get duxsoup to send a connection request to these people. So in order to do that, I would press my connect button here. Then up pops my text to be able to put in for my connection request. I can use these markers at the bottom, _FN_ for my first name. Now I've got here a connection request that I prepared previously for another campaign. But here you can write your connection request. Always start it. If you can make it look personalized, do. So here, hi _FN_ comma, please connect. There we go. Something simple as that. You are limited to 300 characters. That is reflective of the limits of LinkedIn. We can't override those limits. There's no possibility to do that. In a simple connection request, all we can do is 300 characters. Remember, if you've got a long first name, it's going to cut the end off of your message. So make sure you're well under that 300 character limit. If I was now to press OK here, duxsoup would start at the top of the list and start sending out my invites for me with my connection request message there. It's as simple as that. Now, if I want to message my first degree prospects, I would go into let's carry out a new search. I'll tell you what, let's go into my network here a second, and let's have a look at my first degree connections. So if I wanted to reach out to my first degree connections, for example, here I've got my first degree connections. Maybe I want to reach out to people who are based in, I don't know, San Francisco Bay Area. Maybe I'd like to reach out to those people. Here I've got 71 people I'm connected to in that place. Wait for the duxsoup icon up in the top right hand corner to turn green, which it will do in a second when it recognizes this list. There we go, at your service. I now click on my duxsoup icon. If I want to message all of these people, these are first degree connections, remember, I can hit the message button there. And again, here I can put my message in here. Now these are first degree connections, so I can send a much longer message to these people. I can do 3,000 characters. There we go. I could do that, and duxsoup would then start sending out these messages on my behalf. Remember, for duxsoup to carry out those actions, your Chrome tab needs to remain open, and it'll just carry on running through. And we have some default settings with regards daily limits, which are all preset when you first install duxsoup. I think it's 25 connection requests a day and 100 direct messages a day. Direct messages, of course, these outreach messages. It's as simple as that. We can get duxsoup then to really simply, those are our most used functions on the duxsoup Pro platform. What you'll also notice is we have the option here to scan profiles. So we can see here we've got connect, so duxsoup would open the profile and send the connection request message. Message, it would open the profile, send your message to your first degree connection. I can also use duxsoup to scan, and I'm going to press the scan button there just while I'm talking, because this is something that's come up quite a lot recently with a lot of inquiries we've had from people. How does scanning work? So scanning works by taking the data that you see on screen here and basically creating one line of data per entry on that list. It does not open any profiles, but it gathers some high-level data for you. It can be a really good way, a really quick way of being able to gather some data from the lists of, that you can create in any of the multitude of different lists that duxsoup works against. So I'm going to leave that running for a moment, and hopefully it will come up with some data in a second and continue to scroll through. There you are. Now it's scrolling through. It's gathering data against that list. Once it's gathered that page, it's going to automatically scroll to the next page and then carry on through this this list here. And what we'll see in a second is I've got this scanning fairly slowly at the moment, and I'd normally leave this just to run in the background. Now, when I'm running duxsoup and I've got duxsoup running on a tab, what I tend to do so I don't forget is I will right click on my tab and I will pin that tab. Then I can't accidentally close it. So with all these other tabs, I could close those tabs. They've got the cross there. But if I pin my tab, then I know, duxsoup's running on there. I can now go and do something else that I need to maybe crack on with, and leave that running in the background. And then duxsoup will continue to work its magic on the list of data that it's carrying out on. So this is now scanning this list. What I'm going to do is, because we should have some data now, is I'm actually going to stop the robot there. And what we'll see there is that we've got 10 profiles recorded. So every time duxsoup is scanning, it's going to create a line of data. And what I can do then is I can then download this data. So here I've scanned 10 lines of data here. So let's have a look at that CSV file that duxsoup's created for us. Let's open that one. Hopefully that's going to open in the right place. Let's wait and see. Where's it gone? It's disappeared somewhere. There we go. So I can see here my scan time. There you are at 11 minutes past 5 my time here. I've got here the URLs of the people that I've scanned. This was my list of first degree connections in San Francisco. If I left that running for the next 5 minutes or so, it would have scrolled through all of those pages and gathered all 71 lines of data. We can see here it's gathering the LinkedIn ID, so the unique identifier against each profile. It's got the scan time, it's got the URL of each of those profiles. I've got first name, last name, job title, location, and any notes that I may have made against those people. So here I can very quickly create a custom CSV file, and that can be really handy when we get onto some of the more advanced features of duxsoup Pro. So remember that we've got this duxsoup scan data. We'll come back to that a little bit later. Now, let's just move on from that. There we go. So we've done our 3 basic functions here of the simplified menu, and that gives us pretty much, when we're getting started with duxsoup, that's all we'll need. So let's head back to our slides a second here, because now I would like to show you the advanced menu, or what was traditionally always available as standard, but is now sort of being used by the expert users as well. So what we have here is the menu for the expert users, and I'll show you how to toggle between the two. You still have those same options. We have visit profile. We've got slightly different. Instead of message and connect and scan, we've now got visit profiles. We've got visit and connect and scan, and then we've got a few other options here around tags and revisiting, etc., etc. So let's have a look and see how we enable that particular option. If we go to our duxsoup extension again here, and we go to our options button here in the top right hand corner, you'll see here our options menu is much more truncated with our simplified menu. We've got some very simple skipping rules here, which basically, those again the most commonly used ones that users are utilizing. We've got our planner, which helps us to determine when we're happy for duxsoup to run, and then we've got our user settings here. We can see here I've got user type, I've got regular, which is the simplified version. If I was to now enable the experts menu here, it's now going to swap to the advanced options panel. It gives me a whole load more options here. The first place you'll notice this, of course, if we go back to a search result, and well, let's do this in Sales Navigator, perhaps, just so change it up a bit, just so you can see how that looks in Sales Navigator. Again, the duxsoup icon's turned green. Recognize the list as a list of data it can process. Click on my duxsoup icon, and there we are. We can now see our what people are more familiar with, the more extended menu. I can do my auto visits to profiles. I can do visit and connect with my custom message as well. And I can do my scan again here. I can also search by tag. I can revisit data. We'll come on to those in a little bit. But first of all, I want to explain when we carry out auto visits or visit and connects, we have a series of other options we can get duxsoup to carry out on our behalf. If we go to our duxsoup options, these automated actions here, you'll see all of these options here. Those are the ones that are available to us. So we can send a connection request with our message if we so desire. If it's our first degree list, again, our list of first degree connections, again, in regular LinkedIn or Sales Navigator, we can send out our outreach message there. And now you'll see all of these other ones here. They are platform specific, so be aware of that. You can only send an in-mail, of course, in Sales Navigator or Recruiter, for example. You can only follow a profile if you're visiting them in regular LinkedIn. You can only disconnect from a profile if you're visiting them in regular LinkedIn, save as a lead in Sales Navigator, and so on and so forth there. So all of them are platform specific, and duxsoup will basically execute those chosen options that you have selected there during what we call an auto visit. You can only, for example, also endorse skills of existing first degree connections when you visit them in regular LinkedIn. Something a lot of people do. I go and I have calls with people and they're sending out connection requests and say, well, why isn't it endorsing anybody? Well, because you're visiting people you're not yet connected to. You have to be connected to people and visit them in regular LinkedIn in order to be able to endorse skills. Tagging is something that's available to you if you've enabled your expert menu, and this enables you to give basically labels to each and every single one of the profiles that you're visiting or connecting with or trying to connect with. So you have the opportunity to tag profiles, and you can add multiple tags. Again, we've got lots of articles written about this as well. You can also make sure that you're skipping profiles if you've previously tagged them, so you can then make sure you're not repeatedly reaching out to the same people. So we've got quite a lot of information around how that works as well. Along those lines of tagging, if I click on my duxsoup icon here and I go to search by tag, I can then have a look and see who has had what tag. So here within duxsoup Pro, I've got this interface here. If I want to see, for example, everybody who's tagged with NL because they're based in the Netherlands, I can see here I've got 61 people that I've tagged with NL. And in a moment, what we'll see, the duxsoup icon in the top right-hand corner will turn green. It'll say at your service, and I will be able to run duxsoup against this list as well. So we can always do that as well. And if I was to open one of these profiles, so let's just open one of these. Oh no, I need to open it that way. There we go. If I was to open one of these profiles just as an example, we can see here this person is based in the Netherlands. I've tagged him with an NL tag. And over on the right-hand side in a second, we'll see the duxsoup widget appear, which will give me the option to manually add, remove, and edit, or play around with the tags that are the labels that I've assigned to this individual in the past. And we will just wait for this to load up. And it always takes slightly longer while you're talking and expecting it to do something. Just wait for a moment. There we are. So we see here, this person's got the NL tag there. I can add more tags, or I can indeed remove that tag. I can also add notes as well. So that's how we can play around with our tags, build lists, make sure we're not reaching out to the same people again and again, making sure that we're our lead generation activity is well thought out and under control. So that's tagging. We've talked about skipping as well. We've got a few more rules here available for skipping when we've got our advanced menu. Throttling is a really important one, and rather than going through all of this here, what I'm going to do is going to show you where we keep all of our blog posts. I'm going to go to our resources here and I go to our blog posts, and I'm going to go to this article here, because this is one that is possibly one of our most read articles. They're using LinkedIn safely, LinkedIn automation safely. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick this in the chat box so that you can all find this without having to go hunting for it. There we go, it's straight in the chat box. This outlines everything we know here at duxsoup in our 9+ years of existence. This explains everything we know about daily limits and keeping your account safe. There's a checklist in here. There's a whole sort of list of things for you to go through and make sure that you're running safely. But that will basically contextualize what you see here under the throttling tab as well. So just make sure you're aware of that as well. Planner we've talked about already. Connect is that's relating to the Turbo product, so you don't need to worry about that one. And then yeah, just our user and our browser settings here. They're just the standard settings. So that kind of summarizes everything that I wanted to talk about from that point of view. The one thing I have to do now is explain the custom CSV files, how we can upload those custom created lists that we talked about earlier. So if you think back to the beginning, when I did a scan, I created a list of 10 profiles. What we can do with that then, if we've got our expert menu enabled here, we can use the revisit data button here. Let's click on that one. And we can now upload our CSV file. So maybe we've created a nice CSV file from multiple sources. We now click here. We go in to find our scan file. There we are. There's my list of URLs, my first name and last name of the individuals. That's the basic data that's required. That's what duxsoup needs to be able to carry out these actions. You'll notice the duxsoup icon in the top right-hand corner has turned green. That means it's ready to go. So now I can get duxsoup to carry out whatever actions it is that I want it to carry out against that list. And again, it'll follow your rules that you've set up in throttling and carry out those actions accordingly. So that's the advanced menu. Remember, we've got the option there. We can always toggle between the two. We can go to our user. We can decide whether we're a regular user or an advanced user. It's up to us, depending on how comfortable you're feeling with it and how many options you need to have enabled, depending on your requirements. So if we head back to the slides a second, duxsoup Pro. These are sort of some of the highlights. I thought these were some of the key points that I think that are really important to consider when you're running duxsoup Pro. Search criteria, targeting and finding lists. Underlying all of this, you have to put work in up front to define good lists. Maybe if Joe can have a quick look on the blog posts, and if you go into if anybody goes to that blog page that I looked at just now, and in the search box you type in filter, we've got a searching and filtering masterclass blog there, which you can go in and have a look at. Shows you how to create really good quality search results in regular LinkedIn and in Sales Navigator, how you can save those lists. A lot of people think, oh, I've got regular LinkedIn, I can't save any lists. Of course you can save a list. You just create a bookmark, just bookmark your URL, and then you can always go back around and go back to your search results. Make sure you're creating good quality lists. The better quality those lists are, the more chance you've got of successful progress in your lead generation activity. Don't be afraid to just visit profiles. You know, you can just go and visit profiles. People will get the notification that you visited them. You're busy on the network. You will get people visiting you back. Do send connection requests. And I personally have always had better response rates when I've included a message that relates to how I've found people. There's no point in putting a regular, just a standard, please connect. That just doesn't work. If you put something in when you're constructing your connection request or your message, put something in there that's relevant as to how you found those prospects. Don't forget to message your first degree connections. You've got so many people I speak to, they've got massive first degree networks. I was talking to somebody yesterday who's got a first degree network of 10,000 people. Never had any further engagement with them since they've connected. I said, a lot of those people won't realize what you do. Don't be afraid to reach out to them. We've got a really good webinar, was done earlier this year by Michael Simpson. And okay, that was regarding Turbo, but it was talking about the importance of regular outreach, of nurturing your existing network. So make sure you have some engagement planned with your first degree connections. It's a really simple thing to do, very easy to set up. And if you use it in conjunction with the tagging functionality of duxsoup, you can then make sure it's controlled and you're not accidentally repeatedly sending the same message to the same people. The skipping rules, the tagging, hopefully pretty self-explanatory there. We've talked about that in the past on different webinars, and if people have got questions, we can always cover that there accordingly. Thank you for sharing that link there, Joe, super stuff. And then scanning, downloading, revisiting, we've talked about that as well. You can scan so many different lists in LinkedIn. I mean, I only showed you a search result there, but you can do it against a whole multitude of different lists. Similarly, if you go into the blog post and type in lists, there's a masterclass on how to create different lists, or which different lists we can run duxsoup against. And in fact, the last webinar 2 weeks ago was covering all those lists as well. So we have covered that one very recently. Finally, account safety throttling planner. Absolutely super important. No matter what you're doing on LinkedIn, even if you're doing all of this manually, you will hit some limits if you keep doing it manually and you're sitting there all day copying and pasting messages. But if you're using automation, it's doubly important that you make sure you have everything under control. You understand the daily limits, you understand why there are limits in there, and you understand that in order to get the most out of the LinkedIn platform, you have to be a good LinkedIn citizen. That helps with your sort of credibility on the platform. If you've got what is it called, the social selling index, that's the one I was trying to think of. If you've got Sales Navigator, you can go and look at your social selling index. That gives you a ranking as to how much credibility you've got on the platform. That will, the higher that number, the more you can do, and also the higher up search results you will come. So think of it from that point of view as well. That's what I wanted to talk about. I need to mention this one in 2 weeks' time. I won't be around, but our head of marketing, Adam, who I think was on our last webinar. Yeah, he was alongside myself in the last webinar. So Adam and Naufel, who's our affiliate partnerships manager, are going to be covering the affiliate